very awkward, simply because, quite honestly, you've done so much work to get this far, you just want to get on with it. Having said that, you've got to try out the pattern, but make sure that all your heddles are all in the right places, and the warps are doing what they should be doing, basically. And the other thing is, of course, we've got the same problem when you do a tie-up on any of the horizontal ordinary loom, table loom, floor loom. Once you tie it up, of course, all the threads are very close together and you want them to spread out. So it's not really the thing to just put a piece of cloth up there or something wide, which would be nice and easy to do, but it isn't really the thing, to space out the warps. So I'm struggling a bit to do this. So I'm using a different colour, so it'll be a sort of border, if you like, for this. You do that. You don't normally have much more than that on it, so you know, just 1.5 inches or something like that, before you start putting in the fleece. So I'm a little bit worried at this point, but there's ways around it. So just to show you, this is the same as the ordinary weaving technique anyway, so I'll show you it as I go. So what I've just done is I've just changed the shed, and I find it easier. I mean, you get all sorts of things like this lovely thing. It's like a gardening implement. Actual fact, it helps to push the weft up. Or you've got a weaving sword, lovely thing, right? You need to hit somebody on the head with. It's great, but when you've got a bit of an arm problem, it's a bit heavy and a bit hefty. And quite honestly, at the moment, it's probably a bit over the top. So I'm going to basically push them by hand. And that is the whole point of the warp weighted loom, is it's very hands-on through the whole thing. So you do tend to find your hands are on it all the time, adjusting things and things like that. And the other thing is, being hands-on, you don't use a shuttle. So you can use a shuttle, but I don't use a stick, and it would obviously have to be a stick shuttle. So I use these things, I think they're called Udos, and I always remember the name simply because I keep thinking they're dangly, a bit like udders. So maybe it comes from there. I'll have to look it up. And these are just twisted bits of weft that I've got, and then it's easy to pass it through. So, and then I've got nice hangy bits to hang them on with, and you can see when it comes to do the proper weaving, I've got one already prepared there as well. So we're going to lay a bit more weft. So I've got my Udo. I'll find out. And this is where I said hands on. So I put it through, help it along a bit. Sometimes you can throw it. Not so easy with the natural shed, and I'll explain that in a second. And then what I'm just doing is just bring it up to do the little smile. Now this smile, I think you might be able to see this. So here we are, this is the smile. Hey, bring it down. So that's the wefting laid inside there, and it's coming out the top. And you can see, from just about make it out from a distance, the actual smile. That's to give room for take up between the things. So, and it's just stops it going overly tight and drawing in too much. So we've got the weaving. This is a natural shed because this is what happens naturally, where the back warps are just hanging down with the weight, so they're just going straight down, and then you can see the front warps are actually slanted with their weights, and they're attached by the heddles. The back warps are attached by the pedals here, so I'm now going to change sheds. I'm pulling it out and then attaching, just slotting them into the pedal bar supports in these lovely little shape mouths they look like. And what I will do is I'll just do this, again, another hands-on thing, and this just basically clears the shed a bit. So, and then I'll have a little look down. Yeah, it's all nice and clear. So, what to do about this? So, it's still just sitting there, the smile. So now I'm going to, again, we've got things we can do. I tend to use my hands. I think it's less stress on the actual warp itself as well, because beating, you can just beat too hard, and it's also, you can just add fine adjustments to it. Now what I've done is I've started at the end we've just come from, so if I start up this end, we'll end up with a whole load of excess, whereas this bit, let's just pulls as much as it needs from the smile. So hopefully we'll get a nice neat edge. And again, I'm just doing just what I showed you, just helping those warps to sit in the right position, gradually encouraging them to go up. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't want to. This is actually very sticky yarn. Sticky in the sense of it's quite fluffy. This is, so I had to introduce it. This is actually Icelandic, it's British bred actually, Icelandic yarn, 100% Icelandic yarn, and so's the weft as well. Might be a different colour, but this was an Icelandic yarn I bought ages ago, and it's quite sort of fluffy. So it's very, very strong, don't get me wrong, but it is quite fluffy. So what it's doing, it's catching all the fibres as I'm doing it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work my way along, and then I'll show you the next bit. Okay, so it seems to be working fine, and it's gradually closing up the gaps. So I'm going to do a few more. So I'll just show you this change of shed. So I'm just going to do it, and this is what I mean. Now this obviously is not the natural shed, because it's this is now the back warps which have come through between the front warps, and this is what you can do with an udder. You see, you can do this and basically throw it across. There we go. Put it out, and we'll just hang that up, and then I'm going to go through that same process again of moving that up. And we'll change the shed now. And all you've got to do is just release it, just pull it off there, let it go. And it tends to stick because, again, as I said, it's sticky, the yarn anyway. And so you just run your hands up and down a few times, like that. It tends to sort it out. And then a quick check to make sure nothing odd's happened. Something's got caught or something's just refusing to move. And then I can carry on pushing up that. I'll just open this up a little bit. It's often the ends here which are really awkward. They always tend to be a bit of a pain. And again, I'm using the end that I at to pull it across. Now the ends tend to be very loopy, and hopefully with that little bit of water it's going to get, that will pull itself in a bit. You want a bit of room. There is very often a big problem amongst warp-weighted loom weavers that there's a lot of narrowing of it. A lot of it is to do with take-up. A lot of it's to do with set not being right as well. Hopefully I've got that right, but even so, it can still do it. So yeah, So I'm just very aware of that. So I'm always letting it have a little bit at the sides so it can ease out when it's off the loom as well. So, and it's not going to pull in. So there we go. So you won't want to see me do this and see the back of me doing this all the time, but that's what I'm doing. I'll just show you a little close up on that actually. Again, a bit awkward with just one hand and holding the camera, but there we go. And you can see there how much better it looks already between there. Make sure that you're in the right bit of the shed. This, as I said, this is the natural shed. And there we are, it's coming up lovely now. And that's what, hopefully, when they're all starting to join up, look, this will be that lovely tabby sort of look to it.